Hello everyone, welcome to the Watch Poplars. Today, on a walk, I walked my dog and I went to the gorge and I found this. This is a hazel branch that had rooted into the ground, and I was just looking for one, and I saw that there was a branch, I saw a sprout, a little sprout near a bigger, kind of small tree of hazel, and there I saw a horizontal branch. I was trying to pull out the smaller bush and something else moved, and there was a big branch that was like laying down like this. And so I lifted that branch up and out came a bunch of these branches, and then I realized, oh, there's a bunch of roots on this branch. And so to get the sedge out of the way, I took that, I broke the branch and took it home, dipped it in water. I was running it home because I was very excited, and so I'm gonna pot it up. Now I have not been able to start these from seeds because they're covered in fiberglass hairs. Or if they're not fiberglass, they are of that texture, certainly, because they're like needles. They get in your skin and it feels so bad. It feels like splinters, super tiny splinters. I just stuck the remaining aspen cuttings in the ground to see if they would root, but that's in the middle of where I walk or whatever. So the container I have chosen is this. I think it is big enough. I'm gonna plant it probably like this. I'm gonna prune these branches off, or I'm gonna just prune them short. I'm gonna prune the ramification off because the ramification is too high up on the branches, the sprouts. And I do see some nodes that could produce branches further down. Hopefully the buds are still there. It's possible they are not. None of the buds on the top broke off when I pulled it out because it was like under a bigger bush. Now the buds, they are kind of a light green. Spring is arriving in like a month, so yeah, the buds are gonna start swelling in a month and a half, because we get early winters here. And it's like only 52 degrees, I think. This is the only layer I'm wearing. So it looks like it has tried rooting in other places along the stem. If I could get that, yes, there's here and here. However, I just want to keep this part because this is the part that rooted. I'm gonna prune all of this off. So I've got my soil here. I'm just using whatever soil we've got that we're not using. So I'm gonna get my, oh God, I think you saw that. It's leaking. Yeah, there's a tray of water that I forgot about. So I don't know how to get it off, but I'll just dump the soil into here. And I thought that was a massive worm, but there's just a string of rotten string that was probably used to tie the two together, but they're not coming apart. You can see how well this pot drains. So yeah, it's just, there's a big lake. You can see it was actually sitting in water. There's nowhere for the water to pool and then just leak out just before the pot, the bottom of it touches the water. I don't know. It's for houseplants, but now I have soil. It looks like there's some black soil in here, and then there's some tan soil. The tan soil is also very wet. The black soil, I don't know what that's from. Some rotten Dracaena skin in there. The soil's very cold. Unlike the soil I'm kneeling over, which is actually quite warm. It's actually, I work for a woman across the valley, and the soil in her yard is very warm, probably because she has mulch. And yeah, it's very, very warm. It's like the soil temperature in her yard is like 65 degrees. I don't know. Maybe that's why she still has flowers. I don't know. But, you know, that one kind of lantana that blooms all year round. Small flowers, small foliage, very, very fragrant and kind of stinky. Yeah, that one blooms. So, I'm gonna get my branch cutters, my big bold ones. And before I pot it up, I want to prune off all the dead parts. So here, there is a dead stub. I want to prune that off. I'm gonna prune this branch off as well on both sections. And I don't need to save that. It's still alive, but I could plant it, but it would be facing upside down. The nodes would have to sprout branches in reverse. So I'm gonna just prune the ramification off here. In case I do. Now, I don't know if these go from cuttings, but that would be a fair cutting. Oh, my shirt was just backwards. It's been an entire day, and I haven't noticed it. So here, there's for a backdrop of what the cutting would look like. Maybe I would remove it. I'd stick it in the soil, but I'd have to remove this branch. I don't know. It's an interesting cutting. There's a big bunch of branches up here, but I don't need to keep that. Because I know that this section here is going to survive. Now, for my little sitters. There's a root here that I can remove. Unless... no, I don't need a raft. It would be called a raft if I have a trunk that fell over and rooted and took off branches. The branches took off alongside. There's another root right here. I don't need that. It was further, too high up. Now I'm gonna keep all the rest of the roots. However, I might try planting a little bit like this. However, these roots are kind of, these sprouts. This sprout here probably started growing in 2022. The branch that this came off of came probably in 2020 and then got bent over somehow. Probably, I don't know, something fell on it. And yeah. I'm sure if I did plant it like this, the two cut points would root because they are damaged, from calluses, and because this is not a trident maple, and trident maples form calluses really quickly, and they form tons of callus tissue. This is gonna form roots out of those calluses. Now, why I mentioned trident maples is because I just recently learned about them forming callus tissue very fast. So that's why it's hard to root trident maple from cuttings, because they form this big knot of wood, like we're at the cut point, and it just grows too fast to form roots. It swallows the nodes. It swallows the root pores, I think, whatever they come out of. These are the little root things I'm talking about. Just like the Veda product videos, whatever, you can see those speckles. I don't want to ruin the focus, but there is little dots. If I could show you that on something in the willow family, I could do that. Here are the root nodes on a poplar. I think these are root nodes, these speckles, these lenticels. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of trees have that. My coel rautaria has it. Maybe it grows from cuttings. The ash has it. Chinese pistachio. I don't know what those little bumps are, but I'll continue potting this up. I just stuck the aspen cuttings very diagonally. I'm gonna stick them better. I don't even, oh, just broke it. I don't even know if they're gonna take. I'm just being silly. Can you see them? Oh yeah, they're like my hand is like right here on the top of them. I don't know, whatever. But I want to get you in a better view. So this is much better. You can see the aspen cuttings here. Me playing around with them. Okay, so now. I don't want to bend the roots. It's possible. I just don't really want to. So I'm going to get a base layer of soil. The holes for drainage are very large, which probably would be good for these pieces of wood. Yeah. Is this houseplant mixture? I don't know. So now I'm gonna plant the hazel. There's a new branch here that has some nice buds. Here, and here, and here, at the tip. So I'm gonna put this soil, the roots, down here. And I'm not gonna do any more root pruning. I'm just gonna pile the rest of the soil on. Maybe as it falls down, it's gonna guide the roots downward into the soil. But maybe my root work, which I should probably get a root, my tweezers from inside and use those to get the roots all filled with soil, the soil around the roots. So now, therefore, if I do that, there are enough roots, it's gonna feel very stiff, the plant. It won't wiggle as much. Or that's what it should do when you have done when you've worked the soil into the roots correctly. That's what it should do. But also, it depends on how many roots you have. So, yeah. Now, I can push the soil a bit further down. Yeah, should help. Now I'm gonna get the root combs. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I don't knock the pots off the benches. So it's nice and warm because I was inside. Now I'm gonna poke the soil into the roots, and this ensures that you won't get any air spaces, so that all the roots have as much contact with the soil. And this, it could therefore, you gotta have as much contact with the soil as possible, because especially in bonsai, you need a strong tree. You need all the root tips to touch the soil so that they can grow. Now, this is not bonsai soil, of course. That could have been something I added on the Christmas list, but I am planning on staying home this summer. That's what I hope to do, because I really hope my family does not plan any really interesting trips that make me want to leave home, such as, I don't know, traveling east across states and stuff. That which I would really want to do. It's every time I've gone out of home, out of town for a long time. Even because we always have someone take care of the garden and feed the cats and stuff. it's always the case that, the care that someone gives your garden is not going to be the same, and it's going to be a little bit worse than the amount of care that you give your garden. So I've had some setbacks this summer and the last summer. I'm not gonna risk that anymore. I've seen a lot of cool places. Now that doesn't mean I want to see it no more, because I just have a legacy to take care of, and I'm happy enough staying home to take care of that legacy, as long as I'm not missing out on something really, really cool. But I don't know. I already told my parents I want to stay home. There's a lot of time to prepare and plan for trips. But yeah, I just want to stay home and water my trees every day and make sure I'm on top of it. Spring break is totally fine to miss, because unless there's like a heat wave that day, which there wasn't last year, so we didn't have anyone take care of the garden on spring break this year, and my trees were fine. So yeah, now I hope that works. These are not the best, because there's some grippy texture here. It's a bumpy surface, so I don't want those going over the roots. I mean, I don't know. I can put it in the water. Now there's a whole huge holes for drainage, so also what's good is that I'm pushing the soil far enough in that it's squishing the water out. Is that good? I know it's good. Does it have any negative, like, it's still not getting the holes? And maybe if I just, this should get the roots all nice and, yeah, if there is any crumbliness to the soil, despite the amount of saturation in the soil, hopefully that will get it around the roots. I have the tip of my weeping willow here. So I am planting it kind of deeply, which means that it's possible maybe I should raise it up a bit and tuck the soil under. That should help. However, I think I'm gonna pile it a little bit high, because I usually find out by the end of the year the soil is below the level that I hoped it would be at. All the soil's kind of sank, but I don't think it's because it leaks out. I don't know, maybe every time I water it, the grains in the soil kind of align so that they're almost flat. So like a flake of wood will slowly align itself to be flat. I don't know, but it could very well be that as the water drips out of the drainage holes, the soil comes out with it, because it's not perfectly clear. You don't want to drink the water coming out of the bottom of a pot, a filled pot, a dirty pot. So there it is. It's not perfectly centered, but it should be fine. I'm gonna leave that for a whole year. I'm gonna come back in maybe 13 months and show you what the roots look like. Maybe it could be even 14 months. It depends on when this breaks dormancy. I do think these break dormancy in late February. I'm gonna just say mid-February. But now, so the hazels. The hazel trees are native, which is for most of the reasons why I collected these. These are also grown in Oregon as a crop, because the hazels, I guess they have an ideal climate farther north. and they look like they're the same kind, but it could be different. The hazels are in Hamamelidaceae, of the genus Hamamelis, which is the witch hazels. And but these native ones, yeah, and I can still see some of the hairs on them. You can see there's still some of those hairs. Yeah, I don't want to touch those, just in case they're the same kinds of hairs that I found on tarantulas that are very itchy and stuff. But now, I can put moss on this. I have my plum forest here my former plum forest. One of them's actually trying to break dormancy. Okay. It is this one. It's trying to leaf out. It has some buds that are swelling. But I will be putting, I don't know. I think I am still planning on pruning my alder a little bit more, so I don't know. It could fit in this, could possibly fit in that bigger pot here. But I don't know. That'll be for later. I'll do it when the alder is completely defoliated. So, I can just toss this and put this back. My Hanoki cypress is starting to get its winter colors. It's not looking, it would be bright green if it was summer. I'll put those in between the two willows. That's where it was before, and it's trying to overlap. There. Yeah. So I'm gonna strip all the moss off now. I remember taking 3 hours to put the moss on here. And then this, it's not Campanulaceae, it's Comelaceae, I think. This plant had purple flowers, and they're all gone. They're all turning to seeds, and I will see if I should prevent that plant from ever growing in my yard or not. Depends on how invasive it is. It's been introduced. I've seen it growing in the wild, our wild, not in their wild, because I've never been to Europe, where it's native to. Well, I don't know where it is native to Europe, but it is native to Eurasia. So I'll see if it spreads like crazy, and if it does, I'm going to get rid of it. And there is a big, massive grub in here, which you often sometimes find grow. I don't know what kind of. It's just a crane fly larva. It doesn't look like it. It looks gross. I have a friend who likes grubs and, you know, worms, snails, slimy stuff like that. I don't. Oh, there's another one. They often hide under the moss. So, and then they eat the roots. So could that be the problem? Yeah. But I don't have any problem with that because I already have a plum tree. I'm planning on starting a forest when I live in Oregon because there's a whole bunch of other cherry plum trees in Oregon. There is actually invasive there, but I'm deciding not to focus on any invasive plants for bonsai until I live in Oregon. And not for any reason, just because I want to start to have the native ones more developed. Because I don't often see native bonsai. They're not the first things I see when I search up a bonsai. I see Japanese maples and pines that are not native to here. So, the moss, I will now apply it. I got two. I'll just put it in the water. Stick to the soil better. Put it upward. Now I will let you know when I've finished watering. And it's getting dark, so I can't show you any updates. When applying moss, you have to push it very hard. You have to make sure that the soil is moist so that, and you have to make sure that the moss is saturated, and it's best to have it sitting in a little tray of water so that it's like completely soaked, so that you can really push it in and that it can make contact with the soil. Now you have to keep the soil wet. I mean, you have to keep up with the watering. You cannot let the soil dry up. You're not like able. The moss and the soil will separate. The moss will lift up if it's dry. So especially during the summer, this is a problem. Now during the winter, I do not worry about this because it's always wet. There's moisture in the air. It's very high. I know it. I can't feel it because the cold air doesn't keep moisture very well. I don't know. I mean, that's what I've heard, but if it's humid, then it apparently does keep moisture in the soil and the air. Did I say soil before? The air does keep moisture. Even if it's cold, it's just, I think what it means is cold air doesn't, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't keep moisture in the air very well. That's why it doesn't feel humid. Because maybe the feeling of being cold overrules the feeling of being humid. I don't know. Of bogginess. However, I've got it all mossed up. I can see that it's dark and getting grainy in the video, so I better end it. So where to put this? I'm gonna just put it. This is in the oak order. It's in the oak order Phagales. As well as my alder. This could be in the birch family too. Wait, no, this is not cotinus. This is Corylus. Cori with an Y, L-U-S. So yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna put it with my alder, because that's what the plant, it looks the most like. It's in the same family, order, oak order, Phagales. Or that's the beech order, which is also the same order as oaks. So yes, two birch relatives next to each other, and yeah, I have no updates to make here among the watch poplars.